Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hi everyone, I'm Ashton Ruby, editor for gaming podcasts such as Retro Hangover Podcast, Gaming Memories Podcast, and The Good, the Bad, and the Backlog, to name a few. I want to share a game with you that I love. It may be a little niche, even in its own genre, but I think it's tons of fun, does many things well, and not enough people know about it. Since the indie gaming breakthrough pivotal success of Stardew Valley in 2016, we've seen tons of games released similar to Stardew and in the vein of its predecessor Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons, and other popular farming/casual/simulation games. One game that came out during the initial wave of inspiration was Graveyard Keeper. Developed by Lazy Bear Games and published by tinyBuild, Graveyard Keeper was released mid-August 2018 and was one of the first games that I noticed to take a unique spin on the renewed game formula and do it in a way that I've not really seen replicated quite the same way since. But more on that in a moment. I first heard of Graveyard Keeper from a couple of friends that knew my love of Stardew Valley and had attended an indie game conference where they had learned about Graveyard Keeper. A lot about the game stood out to me immediately, from the art style to the gameplay mechanics, but I think the unconventional setting and the writing with its irreverent humor really made it stand out. The Steam page for Graveyard Keeper sums up the game beautifully. Graveyard Keeper is the most inaccurate medieval cemetery management sim of all time. This is a game about the spirit of capitalism and doing whatever it takes to build a thriving business. And also, it's a love story. After an unexpected meeting with the front of an oncoming vehicle, you begin the game as the titular keeper, who has awakened in a mysterious medieval land. Are you dead? Is this heaven? Hell? Purgatory? Don't worry about that for now. There's work to do, and gold to earn. Playing as the keeper, your character retains their knowledge of our world, but has to interact with the inhabitants of this new, somewhat magical, and all the worst parts of medieval times village in order to survive, and hopefully return to their love. To do so, you take up the duties as the local graveyard keeper, and quickly discover there's more to it than digging graves. Luckily, you have a few guides and business partners to help you out. A bodiless, bouncing, talking skull named Jerry, and an overworked, underappreciated talking donkey that delivers fresh corpses daily. The village residents and visitors from the town each have their own personalities, backstories, secrets, as well as sins and vices woven into the story. These seemingly simple characters are actually connected with their not-so-shiny pasts, which are spoken of in rumors and whispers, and it all plays out wonderfully as you go about your quest. The gameplay is a real treat for any farm sim/management game fan, but before unpacking that, I think this game's presentation deserves a ton of praise. I mentioned the nicheness of this game before, and this might be one of those areas where it's not as strong for some, but it all really hits the right notes for me. Speaking of notes, segue. The audio presentation of Graveyard Keeper is top tier in my opinion. You may not love all the sound designs in this game, but it fits the characters and the situations beautifully. Each noise adds to the charm and personality that this game excels in. Every NPC has a unique speaking sound effect, and it tells you everything you need to know about them before you have read a word of written exposition. Personally, I found all the pops and chimes, the pings, and other atmospheric sounds in the games to be highly satisfying and enjoyable. The music is also very fitting, extremely well done, and does a great job of immersing you in this quirky, melancholy world that you find yourself in. It also dynamically changes based on location, the time of day, or whom you're speaking with at the time. Visually, Graveyard Keeper goes for an old-school 16-bit era graphic style. Gorgeous set pieces, details in every asset and sprite, multiple frames of animation, the balance of style, graphical information, and art direction. Again, it's just done so well, and I love it here in Graveyard Keeper. I never got tired of looking at this game or listening to it as I played it. Further keeping you engaged in this unfolding plot are solid and satisfying management sim gameplay mechanics to keep your capitalistic endeavors chugging along. Your tasks begin simple and disgusting enough, with taking a corpse into the morgue, slicing off some flesh for questionable purposes later, and putting the body in the ground in the nearby graveyard. Eventually, your mortuary empire expands to crafting, farming, mining, fishing, alchemy, writing, preaching, fencing, fighting, cooking, rat races, dungeon delving, witch hunting, and more. Progression is made in a number of ways, from earning money and gaining XP to raising up different values such as your reputation with various NPCs and your graveyard rating based on the corpses you bury and the decorations of the graves. There's so much to do once you get going in Graveyard Keeper, it runs the risk of overwhelming the normal mortal gamer. But luckily for those of us crazy enough to enjoy doing real-world labor and chores in video game form, Graveyard Keeper provides a rewarding and addicting gameplay loop of gathering and crafting everything you need in order to create the graveyard home of your dreams. But if watering a few crops every day for a week until they're ready to harvest isn't your thing, worry not. This is one of the few ways that Graveyard Keeper differs from, say, a farm sim style game. Nearly every action only happens when you choose to do it and expend your energy on it. So rather than being beholden to the typical day, week, morning, night, season calendar gameplay mechanic, you're pretty much free to do whatever you want as long as you have the energy to do it. It has a day/time system like many of these management sim games, but it approaches it a little bit differently. Time ticks along as you work and grind the day away, but what really affects gameplay flow is the energy bar. Most tasks will consume energy, and once you've depleted it, it can be restored by resting in your bed, or eventually you can eat food, drink potions that you craft or buy in the game. The time and day system really only determine what NPCs are available to speak with, when shops are open, and the arrival of the next dead body. But if you have energy, you can work. You sleep whenever you need to, instead of trying to squeeze as many tasks as you can before the end of your arbitrary 2 a.m. pass-out time, like many of these games. Sleeping will speed up the clock a bit, but the only downsides are missing a once-a-week visitor who will be around next week, don't worry, and your corpses spoiling out in the hot sun. As you complete various tasks, you're given either blue, green, or red XP points, or a mixture of any of them. These are used to unlock new skills and recipes and buffs within the technology tree. So it's kind of a nice progression path, unlock skill tree that progresses as you complete more and more tasks and become more skilled as a graveyard keeper. All of this is to help you earn more and more money, gain more resources to complete quests, and ultimately reach your goal of returning to, quote, the real world and escape this medieval nightmare you find yourself in. You may find yourself confused, especially if you're used to a more Harvest Moon style kind of farm sim management kind of game. The game does a very good job of also telling you what you can do, or can get away with, I should say. Your friend the Skull will encourage you to make some morally questionable choices, all in the name of earning more gold to afford more alcohol to give him so he can remember more of his past and help you return to your world. I was never lacking for goals to strive toward, areas to explore, and different opportunities to exploit for profit, and reputation to gain with key NPCs and things to unlock and learn and enjoy. Since its initial release, there have been 4 DLCs for Graveyard Keeper, each adding more backstory and new sources of revenue and fun. You can get the complete edition now, often on a discounted rate on several different platforms. So if management sims or mildly dark humor are your thing, I'd suggest checking out Graveyard Keeper. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy gaming.
All right, Josue, let's go through our new Comic Day stack. We have a lot to review.
I know. Maybe we've gone too far.
Well, let's see. Marvel, of course, DC.
I got Image, Dark Horse,
Black Mask, Boom, IDW.
Aftershock, Vault, of course, Mad Cave,
Oni, Valiant, Scout.
Magma, Behemoth.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, all we need now is a name for our show. We need a name for a show about reviewing comic books every week. Something clever, but not too clever.
Like a pun? It's kind of cheesy.
Yeah, it's something that seems funny at first, but we might regret later on as an impulsive decision a few dozen episodes in.
Yeah, we'll think of something.
Join Keith and Josue for We Have Issues, a weekly show reviewing almost every new comic released each week, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.